Lisa,
Hey, Chris.
thank you so much for being with us today.
My pleasure. Thanks for the invite.
What is the importance of having a voice?
It's a big question. I think that we all humans, have value, and the voice gives us a way to express that, express our thoughts, our feelings, our ideas. And having a voice is something that I'm grateful to have mine. I'm grateful that not only does it allow me to express myself in normal human ways, but the fact that I get to use my voice for a career is a bonus and a blessing. I feel really fortunate.
So, as a proficient voice actress as yourself, what is the differentiation between the words you use versus the way you use your voice, inflection, tone?
Well, that's a great question, and it's something that I do have to think about every time I get a new script, right? I'm a voice actor. Just for background, I record commercials and narrations and telephone systems and awards ceremonies and anything that needs a professional voice. What I don't do, for clarification, I don't do a lot of character voices or animation or video games or audiobooks. So that said, every project, there's an intention behind it. You know, is this script meant to educate a cancer patient who's newly diagnosed, who now has a series of steps they need to take for their treatment plan? That's going to require me to say the words in a much more compassionate, empathetic way, in a way that connects to them on a human level, because I know that they're scared, anxious, they have a million questions, the rug has just been pulled out from them, right? Compare that to a script I might get the next day, which is to promote a brand new fill in the blank. And that's something where I'm providing information, but I'm also meant to get the audience excited about it, whether it's Progresso soup or if it's a new product that's going to be sold in the grocery store, you know, whether it's a soup or a new hair salon or something that's going to require a restaurant, some food product, you know, that will determine how I read the words, what kind of energy I put into it, and how it's going to get delivered. And it really is interesting. You take one sentence, and I could probably say it 100 different ways, and it would have a different meaning based on the inflection and the energy I give it.
Mm-hmm. Ken told me about the soup this morning, so
I
know all about the soup.
Progresso soup campaign, yeah.
So when you're in the studio in a professional setting and you're doing a PSA or a commercial for soup or something, you're thinking about, you're practicing, how is the listener going to feel with the words you say and the way you say it? How often do you find yourself taking those practices into the real world when you're talking to real people?
I think it's a natural tendency at this point. I don't know if it's learned or something I was born with, but I find that I'm just naturally, that's the way I relate to people. I do really try to get to know someone and get a sense of what they need and put myself in their shoes, you know? And I think that is a way in my exploring an interpersonal dynamic or how I can be of service. You know, I like to feel what they might be feeling. And I think that helps me be a good friend, be a good partner, be a good relative when I really know them at that kind of deeper, genuine level.
When you're in the booth and you're doing a professional project, how often are you thinking about the listener and trying to empathize and putting yourself into their shoes?
A lot, especially because I do a lot of healthcare voiceover. So medical narration is a bit of a niche that I've been happy to have some success with, and I love doing it. And there have been times when I'm really envisioning the patient on the other end. Patients who are newly diagnosed. What a terrifying time of life. I've been in scary medical situations, you know, where I wasn't sure what the next days were going to look like, you know, and there's a lot of new information and it's overwhelming and it's scary. And those people who struggle with anxiety, as I can and do, it's extra hard, you know. My mom had absolute white coat syndrome. So I think I sometimes embrace knowing what she struggled with, to just get her own health care was not only the physical challenge, but it was also just getting over the worry about it all and the fear, and I know that's a real problem for a lot of people, the mental component of a physical illness. So I really approach my work with a warmth and a compassion and an empathy. And I do it when it's appropriate, but I also want to say that I don't just put on the authentic voice or the warm, compassionate sound because I think that's what they want. I mean, I always do take every project as a separate entity, and I oftentimes consult with the client, learn about the end product. What's the producer wanting from me? What kind of delivery style? But I am always thinking about who's at the other end of the microphone. Yeah, I always think about who's at the other end of the speakers. Who's listening or watching this.
One of my favorite mantras is people don't remember what you say or do, they remember how you made them feel.
That I agree with.
Yeah.
Just looking back, and I think in everyday life, haven't there been times when you've said something that you meant to be a harmless thing, but how you said it made the other person feel a way that you did not intend it? So there's a definite impact, in your delivery, in all of our delivery. But I also think that there are ways that you can sound, and maybe your words aren't exactly what you meant to say. So it is, I think it's a tricky dynamic that you really have to make sure that both are on point, that what you're saying and how you're saying it is really what's in here.
Yeah. I feel like condescension, that's like the number one thing that, like, the tone, you could say the exact same thing 2 times and like one is like this and one is like this. And so
oh, yes.
So I know you from Rotary Club. I know how important telling the truth, truthful facts is to you. How do you tell the truth with how you use your voice?
Well, telling the truth is something that is important to me. So
Why?
Because I feel like that's the right way to live. I think that's the best way to be a human, is if you're honest and truthful. One of Rotary's, the 4-way test, is it the truth? That is sort of one of the mottos that we all the Rotary members try to approach life and business with, that integrity and with an eye towards the truth. And that is very important to me. And it's who I like to be around also. People who I know are honest, who are straight with me. That's who I want to engage with. People who are just putting on a show, or who are, misleading or not being honest. That's just the type of person I would rather not connect with.
Yeah. Do you feel like the divide between what is true and what is not true is becoming wider today?
I think it's becoming harder for individuals to discern what is true and what is not true, in large part because of the way the media landscape is now and the power that the influencers have and the podcasters, social media and the political influencers on all sides. They are powerfully communicating their versions of things that I think make it hard for the average person to really know what's right and what's wrong, or what's true and what's false, and then of course the million shades of gray in between.
Do you feel that with all this noise of information and misinformation, that people's own voices might be stifled in the noise?
Yeah, I think that I think it's a weird time right now. People who are used to being vocal may feel a little pressure to not speak up. I think that others who have felt a bit silent or invisible are now more motivated to speak up. And I think that those who realize that they do have a platform or a powerful way of connecting with their audience, this is their time to make use of that for good or for evil, it's happening. And I think that a lot of voices are getting louder. Whether or not we're benefiting from that, I'm not really sure, because I know that personally I'm feeling a bit overloaded with all the noise coming from all sides, that I'm finding that I'm intentionally taking some quiet breaks. On the whole drive here, 45-minute drive to the studio, I did not have the radio on. And that's rare for me because I love music, and I'm usually, I try to pass the time with great music and or the news. And for this trip, I just needed some quiet. I needed some Lisa time because I think as I had said to you before we started rolling, I just had a bit of a busy, somewhat stressful few days leading up to this. And I use the time for some quiet, because it's when I'm quiet and when I'm by myself and I'm not being distracted by the noise or any of these outside voices, I feel like I get more clear on what my own thoughts are, so that I can better speak my own voice in a way that really is aligned with who I am and what I mean to say right now.
The power of silence.
Yeah. Yeah, that's become more important to me as I've gotten older. I used to be the type who had to fill the room all the time with either loud music or the television or even an ambient noise machine. Something about the silence was hard for me, but now I love it, and it's a good thing. Mm-hmm.
How do you use micro inflections of your voice or pacing or timbre, things like that, to communicate an idea? What specifically about the way you use your voice, how you say a script, communicates an idea to the end user?
Well, most scripts can usually be broken down in several ways regarding the intention or how this production will be used. Is it a commercial? Is it meant to sell something? If it is meant to sell something, are we doing the high energy sale? In which case I would go with a faster pace and more energy and just like, this is the greatest product ever. If it's something that, again, could be a medical, if it's something healthcare related, whether it's adult diaper or something that's more sensitive in nature, right? Or something related to a pharmaceutical product. Warm, compassion, slower. It's important that every word gets understood. So I would approach that very differently from, the annual car sale or the big high energy hypey thing, latest cell phone, whatever, that does all these amazing things, So there's differences there. I think in terms of the type of narration work that I do, you've got your kind of explainer video, the kind of thing that might show up in the aisle of a big box store, that's talking about the assets or that's talking about the selling points of a new tool or a home product, and that's factual, but excited and happy to share this great new product, So there's a bit of a sales component to that. But then a lot of what I do are medical narrations, and these are training videos for nurses, where I'm saying, if your patient is having a hard time standing up, then you'll want to check the blah, blah, blah. If there's a new medical device, make sure you're pressing this plunger and rotate to the right. And again, I wish I could have brought some scripts to actually have demonstrated this more accurately. But I think you get the sense that it has to do with pacing and my energy level, the brightness in my voice, whether I smile or not. That's an old broadcasting 101 trick, right? Is that if you want to sound happy, smile while you talk. I do it a lot. I think I have extra wrinkles because I do tend to smile a lot, partly because I think it's just who I am. But I also, in my work, I really do use my body and my face and my hands to help me with those nuances, helping the words come out in that way, the micro inflections.
How do you use these sorts of micro inflections or smiling when you talk or speaking with your hands when you're engaging with your community?
I do it all the same, I think. I mean, we've had conversations outside of the studio here, so I think you've seen me, and I have been. I've actually hit other people accidentally. Of course, I apologize right away, but that's just what I do. And if you just happen to be standing there, I'm so sorry. I mean, I have unintentionally whacked people, and it happened at a Starbucks once. It really, a concert. I'm really a bit dangerous in a concert because I move, and I try to respect personal space, but I'm sorry, you get some great music in me, and it's just hard. So yeah, there's just I think I just don't I don't differentiate. It's how I express. And that does lead to one of my core values. Communication is expression. I realized long ago, Chris, that I cannot keep things down. It has to come out for me. I really don't know the real reason why that is true for me, but I must have been some earlier experiences where maybe I thought I should keep something inside, and I clearly couldn't, and then the lid came off, and then it was like, in a way that maybe it was just too something. Maybe it didn't come out in the way that I would have wanted because it had festered, and in my adult relationships, I have always been the type of person who values, let's talk it out. If something's bothering either of us, just bring it to the forefront. Like, let's discuss it when it's a small thing that we can work through, then just let the annoyance build up on top of that annoyance, on top of that frustration and that anger. Like, that's a mess, as I'm sure we've all experienced. That outpouring of, like, it all just bubbles up and then overflows, and then you've got an argument on your hands, right? Which could have been avoided, I think, if the people involved had just spoken up sooner. So I'm a big proponent of not letting things get to that, what I think is a really unhealthy place. Just deal with it. I'd rather have 30 minutes of some discomfort and, we had a rough spot, but let's deal with it, right? I'm speaking to you as if, just as an example of, like, in a relationship, whether it's a friendship or a business partnership or something that matters, which I think a lot of relationships do matter, right? You want them to be the best they can be. I expressed that early on. I really would rather talk things through than have you be annoyed or have you, bristle when I walk in the room because I've just pissed you off, a day earlier. Like, what did I think that's where I feel I get frustrated sometimes with, I don't know, our culture sometimes just seems to be, just, don't speak up, everything, make everything nice. And I think that ultimately that can be damaging to a relationship.
Absolutely.
If you're not being honest and expressive. Yeah.
It's so funny you say this because I had Daniel from Rotary on a few months back, and we were talking about the mask. Everyone has the mask up. When the mask starts to slip, and some people, whether in or on the outskirts of the entertainment industry, that's just full of, you have to act and perform a certain way. And I completely agree with you that there is an interesting direction our culture has taken with not being able to really be able to handle a short stint of discomfort for the sake of a longer relationship. We kind of like are throwing around, what I've been noticing is people throw around a lot of diagnoses. It's like somebody comes up and says, hey, I don't appreciate XYZ. Like, I have a problem with, and then, like, the response is like, you must have borderline personality disorder for being so reactive to that or something like that. It's like that people kind of like have really become uncomfortable with the discomfort that you're talking about.
Yeah, very true.
I'd rather know.
Yeah, so would I. Yeah. And I think it's actually the kinder thing to do is to be honest with someone and give them a chance to explain or apologize, or if there is no need for any of that, at least an opportunity to say, okay, well, I'm sorry, Chris, that bothered you, but I would like for you to understand where I'm coming from and why I'm standing my ground on that, why that's important to me, you know? Which the benefit of that, the bonus of that then, is a chance for us to get to know each other even better, right? You know what a trigger or a little something might be for me that, or a boundary, I then would have an opportunity to learn from you. Why did I piss you off? What is it about what I said that angered you and that caused you to address it with me? I think that's a good thing. It's a way of getting that kind of deeper connection and the greater understanding of one another.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. It's easier to just kind of, the first time you meet someone, whether it's a business or a friendship or any kind of relationship, there's kind of like this, like, oh, like it's a blank slate. Yeah. It's like, oh, this person could be like that best friend forever. It's like, oh, like, and you're just like, okay, yeah, everything's great. You like, people can like almost perceive that as like, everything's great until like, what's the issues here? And then people will become quick to write someone off if there is, a triggering type thing or something. And sometimes the relationship just isn't going to work out. Yeah. And it never was going to. But I do really like what you're saying. Yeah, you kind of come across and say, hey, listen, this is how I feel. And, using your voice in that way to strengthen the relationship. Yeah. It's pretty powerful.
Yeah, profound. I think so.
So the technical modern elephant in the room that I'm going to address. So can you, Lisa, give me your thoughts on why generative artificial intelligence cannot deliver a voice the way that a person can?
Yes. Let me start with a really good, very recent, very real example. A medical client recently hired me to do a recording for her because she said the AI voice didn't do as well as she hoped it would. I understand that the synthesized voices are quite good. They've really improved, right? So for some projects, it may be just fine to use what I'll call the robot voice. You hear them on YouTube videos a lot, But this was a case where this was a healthcare client needing to speak to consumers, patients, again, who are having real medical issues and they have real feelings and real anxiety. So where I came in to play, and I'm so grateful that two clients actually, were listening in on this session. Not only did I do the delivery as they had instructed me and everything went fine with take number 1. They were really happy with it, just what they wanted. But then after I was overhearing the two colleagues talking a little further about how they're eventually going to use this and what's their ultimate goal and how they want the audience to feel, that then prompted me, the human, with the human brain and the human ears and the human way of interpreting. Then I used my voice and I said, clients, after hearing what you're saying, I feel like you might also want to hear the narration read in this delivery style. Warmer, more conversational. Okay with you if I give it a run, if I do it that way? Sure. I deliver take 2, warmer, more conversational, more human, because now I'm envisioning this patient that they were just talking about. Do you know what they said? We loved it. That was even better than the first take. And they really loved the first take. So I think that this was such a validating experience for me because, yeah, voice actors are feeling a little bummed out right now because we are losing income and we are losing opportunities. And I know that the cheaper or the free AI voices are cutting into our livelihoods, and that's a fact. And our voices are also being stolen, which is a whole other topic on that. And there's lobbying going on. I mean, we are very vulnerable right now.
Well, what you said there is so interesting because in the film world, it's the same. It can be the same thing where the talent, the actor or the voice actress, is able to be, if the creator lets them, they bring them into the creative process. So we're lighting a scene and like we ran out of like lights or something. We like ran out of extension cables to plug the light in. Something ridiculously technical like that. And we're sitting there and like, okay, well, I can't shoot the actor. We can't get that coverage from that side of the face because, we don't have the light covering that I need for that. And, yeah, the DP and the director can work that out if they want. Or, you can like explain to the actor, hey, listen, can we have you cheat this way? Because we're going to get 2 of your shots in this one take because we ran out of extension cables for the lights or whatever. And then the actor's like, yeah, no, I can do that. And like, but what if like this or something? And then the actor brings something. You brought something to your client when they said, hey, we're not hearing this. And you're listening, and you being a human being, you brought that. And not only were you able to, help improve the end product, the final product, but you also blessed them in that moment, that experience of creating the audio clip. They enjoyed that process. That time is something that's precious, rather than printing out another million audio robot-generated voices.
Exactly. And I think about the time that it would have taken to manipulate the AI voice to get exactly that warm conversational delivery style that ultimately they landed with. Is AI really quicker and cheaper? Because what I did, it just took minutes for me to overhear their quick chat and for me to offer the second version of a 60-second script. I mean, it really was done in real time so much more efficiently than I think a producer working with the synthesized voice, would really have to just tweak a lot.
The technology is evolving very quickly, so we have no idea where it's going to be 5-10 years from now. But as far as I understand, any form of generative artificial intelligence, so-called generative AI, is really just sourcing stuff from other people. But it's kind of a guess and check type of situation where you give it a prompt and say, okay, how does that sound? And I didn't like that. Try it again until you get it right. As opposed to you, who if you've done your homework and you've prepared a voice, you come in, you have an intentionality. You are making, like the analogy I like to use is AI can make anything. Humans can make something.
Ooh, that's good. Yeah. And humans can make it better. Humans can make that something better.
The experience of creating the art is what makes the art have value. Can you tell me a little bit about the growth that you see in your own life and in your community?
Yeah, well, growth is something that is really important to me. Personally, I'm somebody who is always taking courses, webinars. I register for a lot of Zoom things just because I'm interested in the topic. I will pay to travel to a conference just because I'm interested in the topic. During the pandemic, that lockdown phase, I was committed to learning all that I could about anything I wanted to learn about. I felt like it was prime time. It was a great opportunity with this extra free time, at home with, do you remember the Clubhouse app? I was really into that for a while. It was like a social media, but it was audio only. And I was finding I was just listening in on conversations from experts in social media, experts in nutrition, experts in wellness. There's a guy who wrote a book about anxiety, and it was fascinating to me. So he would just talk and take questions from people like me about how to manage anxiety during this stressful time. And so, yeah, so growth is something that I feel like I'm always doing it. And that feeds me and that fuels me. And I think that makes me feel like, I'm getting old, but I'm getting wiser. And I like that. I think there's something to that. Yeah.
And how do you see the growth that you have kind of helped build in your community, like Rotary or whatever organizations you're involved with?
At this age now, I am at the stage where I want to help people. I want to help guide the newer voice talents, the new generation. When my college or high school is looking for volunteers for career day, I'll volunteer to be a speaker because I think it's important to share the knowledge that I've gained over all these years. And I tell them about my struggles right out of college and how I have survived and thrived over the years, and what it took for me to get to where I am now. And I think that hearing about anybody's journey can be helpful for somebody who's at the early stage of a career. So, yeah, I love that. So I think I feel like I've grown so much, and I do like to foster kind of an environment where I'm helping others grow and learn.
It's beautiful. What's next for you, Lisa?
There's still more I want to do with my voice, and so I do want to grow my voiceover career, very truly. I would like to voice more national television commercials. That's still a rush when I'm watching the Today Show and I see a commercial that has my voice on it. I would love to do more of those. I would love to be the brand voice of somebody, of a big company that uses me repeatedly. That would be just some nice security, frankly, because a lot of these recent years it's been a bit of a roller coaster, and I would love to just sort of be able to rest a little easier knowing that this client or this project is going to keep me busy or keep having work for me. So I'd love that. I love doing the live announcing. That's something in the last couple of years I've really gotten more into, going to the events and being the live announcer, what they call the voice of God, the VOG. It's that voice in the back of the room. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the annual awards ceremony. I just did one on Monday, actually, in Manhattan, and it was great. I still get a rush from doing that. So is there a big awards ceremony down the lane for me somewhere in the future? I don't know. Is there some other way that I could get more opportunities to combine my love of voicing with my love of travel? Do I see myself doing some on-camera travel blogs, or some way of maybe, combining more of my my hobbies and interests in a way that could have me continue to work even into my 60s, 70s, but still enjoy my life, because I know that that's
Our
also important.
Commander-in-Chief is 20 years older than you, just so you know. So you're still young.
Thank you. Yeah, I just hit 60, so I think though I'm proud of my age and I know it's a milestone, and I'm generally feeling positive and healthy and grateful for all that. I'll share with you that I'm feeling a bit behind in that my friends are talking about retirement now, and they're planning for their retirement in the next few years. And Chris, that's so not in my head right now, because for me, I haven't yet done the big job. I haven't booked the giant voiceover thing that's going to, set me up in a way I want to be financially. I haven't yet reached, these goals. And so I'm feeling the pressure's on me now. And maybe this is self-imposed, because I know I can be hard on myself, but I've been doing a bit of comparing to others from my class, and they're wrapping up their careers, and I feel like,
You're just
there's so much
started.
more I haven't. Yeah. But I believe I can achieve all these things, but there's a lot of competition. So I have days when I need to give myself that pep talk.
Yeah.
I guess we all do. Yeah.
Where can we find you?
LisaLeonardVoice.com and LisaLeonardLive.com, because I've got,
wow.
yeah.
Cool. Well, I can't wait to hear you announce the next presidential nomination, whatever that is, at the
Thank you.
nomination event, whatever that is.
Thank you.
Lisa, thank you so much for coming.
My pleasure. It went too quickly, but thank you.